Our special guest here in the newsmaker chair. Let's go back to him, Mark Souder. Mark, again, thanks for making time. I know today's really busy for you.
Good to be here.
So, you talked a little bit ago about oversampling. So let's go to polls in general, and I'm talking about now about national polls. The spread is unbelievable. I mean, somebody tomorrow has egg on their face. It's either these big name polls or it's these big name talking heads. I mean, when I look at Barone and Dick Morris and Karl Rove, these guys are pretty adamant. I mean, all three of them are saying Romney with 300 or more electoral votes, and then you've got the polls that come out, like the CNN poll, going, it's not going to happen. How's this divide happening?
Let me address, as you know, I tend to address around the question often rather than
I've noticed that.
Straight at it. But it used to be, sometimes I felt that there was one weather channel a little more desperate in Fort Wayne that would project snow always bigger, like we were going to have a blizzard. And then if he hit it, then they would brag about it.
He was the hero.
Yeah. Because you forget what they project unless they are an outlier. That's Dick Morris. Dick Morris, when he's your consultant working for you privately, he's calm, he's precise, tells you when you're behind. When he's out here doing this, he's going to exaggerate. So you kind of go, okay, he's an exaggerator. Karl Rove's job is to spin on behalf of the Republicans. So he is going to state things from his perspective. You know he was Bush's advisor. You're not going, he's a neutral.
Right.
But he is going to be a little more factual because he wants to be used as a consultant and have credibility, so he's going to kind of play it down. CNN is acting like they're neutral. And some of these other polls that are claiming to be neutral actually seem to have more bias built in than the guys who you know are biased.
Let's talk about
what's going on here.
Yeah, let's talk about that one poll in particular. You take the CNN poll. Now, we know that, and we've already talked about the emotional gap from 2008 to 2012. You know, and this is not a slam on the president or the Democrats, but it's not there to the same extent. We don't have the same degree of, we're going to go out and vote no matter what. Come hell or high water, we're casting our vote because this is the first time for this and the first time for that. So that's not there. So the Democrats outvoted Republicans at about 8% last time. For a poll to come out now and to oversample by 11%, isn't that really kind of pushing the credibility gap a great deal?
Here's the question you're asking me. When Romney was battling for his life, coming off of South Carolina, he went after Gingrich. He claimed that Gingrich was corrupt and removed as Speaker. I did an article for Weekly Standard, documented in detail, that said Gingrich wasn't removed because he was corrupt. He was removed because he was incompetent. And a friend of mine, I told him to say hi to him. They saw him at a thing, and Gingrich said, "Thank you for the article." It's the first time I've been thanked for calling somebody incompetent rather than corrupt. But that's really the question here. You're asking me, is CNN corrupt or incompetent?
Yeah, I mean, are they actually trying to do an underhanded thing?
I believe they're incompetent.
You think they're incompetent?
I think they're incompetent. I think CBS, which is only polling 500 people nationwide, when Gallup's polling 2,700, what's going on here? Are you just cheap, or are you incompetent with this? Now, their bias sometimes will come through in their incompetence because they don't know what their bias is. There are several ways you can make this kind of mistake. Are you assuming you're taking people who are registered Republicans and Democrats and or independent, or are you calling randomly based on voting patterns in an area and assuming that averages out so that sometimes you'll skew a little Republican and sometimes you'll skew a little Democrat? Furthermore, there's an amazing thing. Well, you and I probably would normally say we're Republicans. We probably wouldn't answer Democrat too often, and probably not even independent unless we're really ticked off.
Right.
That people move, and that when a party becomes unpopular, like the Democrats were under Gore and in the first Bush years, the number of people claiming to be Republicans went up, and the number of Democrats go down, and the independents go up. And then, when you recover, and this happened after the first debate, a lot of people hadn't gelled behind Romney. And so they were saying they were independent. And all of a sudden, the pollsters are out there, and they're becoming Republicans. If they didn't adjust their numbers, the independents looked like they became more Democratic, when in fact, they were moving under the R's. And the pollsters, if you have a big enough sample, you can pick that up. But with a little sample like CNN's doing, I think they have like 1,000 or 1,100,
right.
or CBS, they're going to miss that unless they have actual names. And so some polls that have suggested that Romney has a slight lead have been trying to adjust that independent Democrat and Republican claims because their voters are shifting. But that's even dicier because you're only dealing, even in 2,700 in a country of 270 million
Right.
or 300 million or whatever.
Yeah, you're not even polling 1/100,000th of 1%. Yeah.
In other words, that's how arbitrary this is. And that, so you have to look at what's the pattern, what are the averages. In fact, 17 of the 23 oversampled and said Obama was going to win by more than he did. Huffington Post has a new post this morning that says that don't trust the exit polls, and all of them have been working 4 years because they had a 4.5 average margin that Obama was higher in the exit polls than it wound up in those states. The highest was 16%, and there was some states that were more for McCain. To say that's a flaw, that's a 21% variation,
Yeah.
not a 3
Well,
or
if
4.
you're going to